How's it going, everybody, on this lovely Labor Day weekend? We got my good mate here, Logan Myers, and me, Henry Hill. We are back today to review the brand new horror movie, Don't Breathe 2, the sequel to the 2016 hit with Uncle Stephen Lang up there as the blind man. So we have the sequel now that picks up a couple years after the first film. And this one has a little twist with this, doesn't it? It's not the same as the first movie at all.
No,
twist.
They didn't use the same formula for the sequel, which I really appreciated. We do have Stephen Lang returning as the blind man. He was the really bad guy in the first film. Really had a great time with the original film. Came out 5 years ago. Fede Alvarez directed the first one this time around. The writer from the first film, the writer for the second film, is also directing it. Rodo Ciegas, if I butcher that, I'm sorry. But this time around, he's directing it, and it's a different take on the story we saw the first time around. This young little girl is found by the blind man, brings her back to the house and kind of raises her and introduces some really bad people and some really bad elements. This movie takes place in Detroit, Michigan. As we all know, it's a very rough area, a lot of old houses that are abandoned, and that's where they kind of live. And essentially the setup is this young girl trying to find out about her parents, her mom, and sets up this really bad guy she comes across in this bathroom. It really sets up the rest of the film. Went about this movie in a different way. I didn't expect. I went in with really low expectations, but I kind of like what they did with the script and doing something different this time around with Stephen Lang kind of being more of the anti-hero protagonist compared to the antagonist in the first film.
This one felt more like a revenge film to me than the first one. The first one was more straight up horror with these people, robbing the house. They go in this house and they don't know this blind man who's a former military guy. He's great with hand-to-hand combat. He's brutal. And in the first one, he did a lot of killing just for no reason, really. I mean, obviously people were in his house, but he went to great lengths to snap their necks and everything. Whereas this one, they're breaking into his house and he's there trying to protect this little girl who he's taken in and kind of watching after. So yeah, he's more of the anti-hero in this one. He isn't the straight up bad guy. The bad guys are the actual people that are coming in to break in with this nefarious purpose of they need this little girl to harvest her organs. There's this big organ harvesting ring going on with this doctor that they have in Detroit who needs people's organs. And we find out through the film and the big twist of the film, like why they need the organs, what's going on here. But they really picked the wrong house to mess with. And there's some great brutal kill scenes with the blind man, that were really awesome to see. But yeah, this was a straight up revenge flick. They kill the blind man's dog in the movie, and that's one thing you don't want to do. It pisses
John Wicket.
Yeah, it gets little John Wicky in there where he takes out pretty much everybody, every one of these intruders. The main intruder, whose name is Raylan, he's played by Brennan Sexton III. He did a good job just being the creepy leader of this group. He had just a creepy vibe in the first scene where he comes across the little girl's in the bathroom, and he comes in and he's creeping on her. He's the leader of this group. We won't give anything away, but he has something to do with the girl's former life, and looking for her parents and everything. You learn and towards the end of the film, around the middle part, like what's going on with her parents. And you kind of sympathize with the blind man in this one after you find that out. He's actually protecting this little girl.
Yeah, you actually kind of feel bad for him. In the first film, you fucking hated him, especially the scene with the baster. Yeah. Like, this guy is no good, but they kind of went about it a different way of getting more of who he is and where he lives and things he's been through and things he's still coming across in this film. Like you were saying, the main bad guy, Brendan Sexton III. He's Warren Beatty from Empire Records. I've known this kid. He was in Welcome to the Dollhouse. He's always kind of the weird, kind of awkward bad guy in most films. He has that face, but he did a really great job, especially that scene in the kids are in the bathroom with the young girl. I thought it was really creepy. As they dive into more of his character, you can see this guy is really not a good person.
Doesn't end too well for any of the people that come across the blind man. You get some really inventive kills this time around. You get a lot of necks breaking, throats being slit, electrocutions, people being burned alive, eyes being gouged out, Just some really inventive kills in here. We'll credit that to the writers Fede Alvarez and then the director Rodo Sayegis. They did a good job directing this movie. We heard a lot of buzz going into this movie. The reviews started coming out about the week of the release, and they really weren't that great. They're about 50-50. 50, this has a low score on Rotten Tomatoes. So going into this film, I had low expectations, but I really came out of this, ended up enjoying it for the most part. The first movie, Don't Breathe, is more straight up horror.
Yeah.
This one's more of a revenge flick. I mean, I wasn't really scared too much in this film. This one was just more brutal and had some gory kills. So this one was a little different, like we mentioned, but I was, overall pleasantly surprised by this and had a good time. It didn't go on too long. It's about an hour and a half. So for me, it worked for what it was.
I went in with really low expectations. I didn't really check out too many trailers. I just knew there's a new one coming out. I love the first one, 2016. There wasn't a lot of dialogue in the first film. It was more of a horror film. This blind man, they're trying to creep around his house, trying to survive, trying to get this good stuff and trying to get out of their lives. So there wasn't a lot of dialogue. This movie only had really one scene like that towards the beginning or middle part. But this is more straight up thriller, revenge thriller compared to a horror flick. The only horror elements in this are really the kill scenes, which were all really top notch. Lots of great practical effects in here. One scene having to do with the guy's eyes, and like you're saying, getting chopped up with like machete and burned alive and things like that. A lot of great kill scenes that was really brought me into the movie. It was really convincing and it looked real, like this is actually happening. And also another thing about this film, Stephen Lang reminded me of Michael Myers in a few specific scenes, especially when the house is on fire. Like it just reminded me of the new Halloween Kills that's coming out. So I don't know if that's intentional, but it was kind of cool at the same time. He's a big menacing guy. He's blind, obviously, ex-Navy SEAL, so this guy can survive and kill people, and that's what he does. So that being said, I had a really great time with Don't Breathe 2. Didn't really know what to expect with this, but I really loved the directing and writing. They went about this a different way. They didn't use the same regurgitated formula that most sequels, especially horror movies, use. This is more of a revenge thriller, a lot of great performances. I love a lot of the characters and a lot of the kill scenes. I thought it was just really well done. A lot of twists and turns along the way, and something you don't predict. And with that being said, I'm going to give Don't Breathe 2 a 4 out of 5 Stephen Lang hair pieces.
Credit goes to writers Fede Alvarez and the director on this one, Rodo Sayegis, who obviously drew a lot from the original. They know the mythology well of the blind man. They expand upon that in the sequel, so you learn more about his past. And they did a really good job making him more sympathetic this time around, obviously, with him protecting this little girl. So they flipped the script on the first one and still make it entertaining. It still deals with home invasions here, although this time, the blind man's the one that is the hero. So I really loved what they did with the sequel. It was inventive. I thought the little girl did a good job in her acting. She was believable as this little orphan girl who's been being raised by, Norman in this film. The bad guys were all elegantly creepy. It gave me some The Strangers vibe with that group of, these group of home invaders coming in, minus the masks, of course. With that being said, Uncle Henry here is going to give Don't Breathe 2 a 3.5 out of 5 Norman Nordstrom hair pieces. Also, stick around for the mid-credits scene. There is a mid-credits scene.
Is there?
Yes. Yeah. So
that.
if you missed that, make sure to catch that, because it might give you a little nod to if there's going to be some more from the blind man coming out.
Wow, really? I had a feeling they might do that, but I didn't stick around. I'm like, nah, I doubt it. But that's really interesting. This was a sleeper hit of the year for sure. Definitely one of the better horror thrillers. I guess we said it's not really a horror, but one of the better thrillers of the year, surprisingly. Put out by Sony. Really good overall script, great acting, and really fun movie. If you want a movie that keeps you on the edge of your seat and want some gruesome kill scenes, you guys should definitely check this out. With that being said, we have other videos right up here on our YouTube channel. We have more What If reviews. We had the double feature American Horror Story. We've been having a great time with that. Going to be reviewing more of those episodes. We have Mr. Corman. We'll be talking about more podcast interviews and reviews coming very soon right here on our YouTube channel. If you haven't already, hit subscribe below.
Subscribe, love us, comment on our page. We can't wait to hear from you guys. Let us know what you thought about Don't Breathe 2 now that it's on video on demand. Go ahead and rent it and give this movie a chance. I know the reviews weren't great coming out on it, and the word of mouth really didn't do it justice. we like it, and we think you guys will too, especially around the Halloween season. This one will be a good one to watch. We think that you'll enjoy it. That's it for the Cinephellas for this Don't Breathe 2 video review. We had a great time watching this film, Don't Breathe 2. Make sure to stick around for the mid-credit scene. It'll give you a little insight into maybe we'll get some more from the blind man, and I'm all for it if we do. So until the next Cinephellas video review, that's my good mate over there, Logan Myers. I'm Henry Hill. Cheers.